All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Imagine taking the global passion of the World Cup, completely tearing up the standard brackets, and replacing them with a chaotic, high-stakes game of territorial conquest. Seriously, it's wild. Today, we're exploring a fascinating 48-nation digital football simulation. Think of it as the ultimate video game experiment. We're going to see exactly what happens when the beautiful game meets global domination. We'll be breaking down how just a few simple rules created some of the absolute wildest alternate reality football matches you could ever imagine.
So, what actually happens when you combine the World Cup with total global domination? Well, to understand the sheer madness of the unbelievable upsets and mutating super teams that came out of this simulation, we first need to look at the ruthless rules governing the tournament. Forget about points in a group stage. This is all about survival and, honestly, empire building.
Okay, here's how it works. Step 1, spin the wheel to pick the attacker. Step 2, invade a bordering territory. Step 3, play the match. And step 4, win. Conquer the land and steal one player. These 4 little steps literally rewrite the entire strategy of international football. The mechanics are simple, right? But they are absolutely devastating. You spin a wheel to see who attacks and where they invade. The 2 countries play it out. If you win, you consume your opponent's territory and, here's the real kicker, you get to steal their absolute best player to add to your own roster. But if you lose, oh, you're wiped off the map forever. Bye-bye. Just imagine the immense pressure of a single match where everything is on the line and the reward is poaching a generational talent for your squad.
You basically have predictable powerhouses on one side and chaotic upsets on the other. Because right from the very start, the traditional logic of international football was completely thrown out the window. Normally, you'd expect the big, predictable powerhouses to just march across the globe, right? Just gobbling up smaller nations left and right. But picture a world where the absolute juggernauts of Europe and South America are suddenly fighting for their lives against teams they would usually coast right past. Instead of dominance, heavyweights fell to massive underdogs almost immediately. The chaos on the pitch was just unprecedented.
I mean, the opening rounds were an absolute graveyard for giants. We saw unbelievable giant killers. The USA stunned England 2-1, snatching away Harry Kane. No way, right? Then there was Canada, putting together this miraculous run. They survived back-to-back penalty shootouts against European powerhouses Norway and Germany. That means Canada casually added Erling Haaland and Jamal Musiala to their squad. That is a terrifying thought for anyone facing the Maple Leaf. And it gets even crazier. Scotland miraculously sent Brazil packing in a shootout after Alisson inexplicably blundered a save. And Austria? They absolutely crushed Spain, securing wonderkid Lamine Yamal.
To quote the source directly, what in the world are these upsets? I think if you told me at the beginning of the challenge that these would be the remaining teams, I don't know if I'd believe you. And honestly, they hit the nail on the head there. The unpredictability of these early matches set the stage for an insanely chaotic mid-tournament. Because of that steal a player rule, pulling off an upset didn't just mean you survived another day, it meant you instantly absorbed world-class talent. The compounding effect of this rule started creating these terrifyingly strong squads that simply shouldn't exist outside of a video game. Let's look at the chaotic journey of some of these stolen superstars. Take Lionel Messi, for instance. First, the Netherlands knocked out Argentina with a heartbreaking final kick goal from Cody Gakpo, meaning Messi suddenly became a Dutch player. Try to picture Messi wearing that vibrant orange kit. But then, Morocco faced the Netherlands and absolutely dismantled them in a jaw-dropping 6-2 blowout. That whole thing was capped off by an incredible Hakimi free kick, so Messi packed his bags again and joined Morocco. Players were bouncing all over the globe, creating unbelievable fantasy lineups that would give any real-world manager nightmares.
But meanwhile, towering above all of this geographical chaos was a single number: 40. That is the age of Cristiano Ronaldo in this simulation. And let me tell you, he was seemingly on a personal mission to dominate the entire tournament for Portugal, completely defying Father Time. In a tournament literally defined by shifting loyalties and stolen youth, here was a 40-year-old veteran basically refusing to let his team be conquered.
Portugal's dominance was unreal. They essentially morphed into the final boss of this simulation. They systematically dismantled their opponents one by one. They knocked out Senegal to grab Sadio Mane. They survived Colombia to take Luis Diaz. They ended Scotland's dream run and added Neymar Jr. And then they took down Austria to steal Lamine Yamal. They were building an absolute super team, all specifically designed to support Ronaldo's ultimate quest for the trophy. Can you even imagine an attacking front featuring Ronaldo, Mane, Diaz, Neymar, and Yamal, all playing for the same crest? It's sheer tactical absurdity.
As the source put it, bro really just did that at 40 years old? He is so determined to get that World Cup trophy. And his determination was totally unmatched. He was basically single-handedly dragging his team forward. He scored this stunning Travella goal, bending it with the outside of his boot from way outside the box against Scotland that left everyone absolutely speechless. And against a surprisingly resilient Austrian team, it was a clutch 117th-minute victory, fueled by a flick-on from Ruben Dias to Ronaldo that finally secured Portugal's spot in the finals. He was just inevitable.
But wait a second. While Portugal was loudly and aggressively dominating their side of the map, Japan was quietly weaving the ultimate Cinderella story on the other side of the bracket. They were a true dark horse. They stunned teams like France, equalizing in the 83rd minute before winning in extra time, and systematically assembled an elite squad of their own. They scooped up Victor Gyökeres, Kevin De Bruyne, and Kylian Mbappe. Suddenly, the Samurai Blue were looking a lot less like an underdog and a lot more like the Avengers assembling for the endgame.
So the crucial point is this. Out of 48 initial nations, through all the chaos, all the stolen superstars, it all came down to a legendary clash, the final matchup. The heavily favored, superstar-stacked final bosses of Portugal versus the battle-tested, giant-killing ultimate underdogs, Japan. This was a matchup absolutely bursting with stolen talent. The stakes literally could not possibly be any higher.
The final match was an absolute roller coaster of emotions and momentum swings. Let's walk through it. Portugal actually struck first in the 11th minute when Ronaldo blasted a free kick off the crossbar, allowing Ruben Dias an easy tap-in. But right before the half, Wataru Endo equalized for Japan. Then, the stolen superstars went to work. In the 54th minute, Lionel Messi, who, remember, is now playing for Japan, set up Gyökeres to take the lead. Portugal roared back with a classic Ronaldo free kick in the 63rd minute. But finally, in the 75th minute, it was Kevin De Bruyne with some exquisite footwork who scored the decisive winner for Japan.
The final whistle blows, and Japan completes the Cinderella story and wins the World Cup. Seriously, despite a frantic final push from Portugal, including a last-second stoppage-time attack where Lamine Yamal missed a crucial cross, Japan held their ground. The referee blew the whistle, and Japan completed the greatest underdog run imaginable. They took down France, they took down Algeria, and finally, they took down Portugal. The whole shebang, the ultimate Cinderella story was complete.
This thrilling explainer leaves us marveling at the sheer unpredictability of the beautiful game. It totally changes how we look at national team depth and individual brilliance. Which leaves me with one final question for you to think about. If you are managing your home country in a tournament like this, and you won your very first match, who is the very first player in the world you would steal to begin your own empire? Let that sink in. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive and keep asking those big questions.